Hello, everyone, and welcome to Twitch Tales, episode 74. Where did we leave off in episode 73? Apis has found themselves in the Feywild, very excitingly. So we left off with Apis entering the Feywild through a portal and immediately having all of their senses assailed by this new plane of existence. Not only a new plane and all of the different sights, sounds, smells, touches, feelings, tastes, somehow tasting the air, I guess, all of the different senses assailing you of a new plane, but also all of those senses are turned way up. They're turned up to 11. They are bright and colourful, and the songs are melodic. Even the wind and the rustling through trees is melodic and harmonising with one another. The animals are strangely coloured with horns and wings where they shouldn't be. They are manic. It is almost dreamscape-like. It is overwhelming to the senses to somebody who's come from the material plane. And so Apis almost sort of stumbled and fell, but was strong enough in the mind to not. But Mel came in behind and buzzed around in all kinds of fashion till she landed in some flowers. Apis managed to pick up and calm down Mel, and then set off into the forest, the surrounding forest, and looking for any sign of what to do, where to go, how to find the merry gentleman. As you travelled, you thought, if ever there's a time to play the panpipes, the Feywild will be it. So you took your panpipes out and did a little ditty. And when I say a little ditty, I mean the most beautiful music that Apis has ever played. With a nat 20 on the performance check, you played this hauntingly beautiful, upbeat music that seemed to be inspired and then also riffed on by the surrounding air and landscape. The note seemed to be carried further on the wind. The trees seemed to almost get involved somehow in your music. The wind and the rustling through the branches, the animals moving, everything around you seemed to almost join in with your beautiful chorus, until eventually you could actually hear a call and response happening. And Apis unknowingly had walked into the middle of a courting ritual, a singing back and forth call and response of two earworms, fairy dragons that use song in every aspect of their life. So they were playing chase, essentially, hard to get. One of them was sort of ducking in and out of trees, saying sort of like you can't catch me, ooh, I'm over here, where am I now? And then the other one that was sort of chasing and trying to woo got distracted by Apis's music, thinking Apis was the thing that they were trying to attract, got utterly confused when they actually came upon Apis, and so we got into a sort of encounter. I don't want to say a combat or a fight, but we ended up having this interaction with this singing dragon, where it tried to charm us, it tried to frighten us, it tried to put us to sleep. And while our friend Mel was succumbing to all of those things, one after another, Apis did not succumb to any of it until eventually the second dragon, now realizing that she's no longer being chased, came out to see what was going on and realized, oh, how dare this new two-legged creature try and woo my partner from me, try and interrupt our courtship. And she got involved as well, making it harder to resist the charm of this song, until eventually Apis succumbed to one of the songs, a paralysing effect that froze them into a darkened state of mind and allowed the two dragons to whip off into the woods. Eventually Apis came round from that just in time to meet an Eladrin, a fairy gentleman who superficially resembles an elf, a high elf, but with a much more turned up appearance, a longer ears and more colourful skin, and this autumnal kind of appearance on their clothing and their skin tones. They introduced themselves as Dale, and they were out on a forage until we mentioned that we are here to look for the merry gentleman, an archfey. They seemed to know him by name and said that they call them the Lord of Avalon. And so we demanded them to take us to him. We demanded it rather than asked it because of the nature of asking for things in the feywild. Apis is aware, having their mother always had an interest in the fairies and told them lots of fairy stories. Apis is aware of a lot of certain interesting and unusual customs in the feywild, such as not asking and being polite for certain things, because then it can be seen as a request, and if you are requesting something and the person gives it to you, then they have done something for you, and therefore now you owe them something in return. So rather you demand politely, yes. And so Apis demanded politely to be shown to the merry gentlemen, and Dale obliged, took you back to their home and to eat and rest before the journey to the merry gentlemen. While at Dale's home, eating and resting, Dale explained that if you are to go to an archfey's home, even invited, you are expected to bring a gift of sorts. If you have no gift to give them, Dale said, I have something that I can give you that you can give to them. But in return, in a fair exchange, I will give you the thing to give to them as a gift, and you will tell me the story of how you met the Lord of Avalon. How do you know the merry gentleman? We agreed, somewhat reluctantly, and began to tell them this story. However, we were trying to hold back on certain details of this story and how we met. We didn't want to tell them everything about us being a horizon walker. So doing so made it a little bit difficult to tell the story, and we left out certain vital parts of the story. We kept jumping about back and forth and making it very clear that we were obviously leaving things out. With a terrible performance check, we ruined the story entirely. And that's where we left off, with Dale reacting to this story. I'm going to start you guys with an insight check, because I want to know, can you tell whether or not Dale has been offended by this story or disappointed by it? We're going to head over to the dice cam. I'm going to arrange that properly. First roll of the game. This is a 10, right down the middle. You are not proficient in insight, so you have a +2 from your wisdom alone, and that means that you have a 12 insight. And you've never met an Eladrin before, which means that their facial features, their tells, their tics, their behaviours, they're not super familiar to you, so the DC is slightly higher because of that. As such, the 12 is not a great check, and so you can't really tell how Dale is reacting to the story. They just seem to not be excited or overwhelmed by it. So what do you want to do, Apis? What do you want to do? Sorry, none of that seems to be coming out right. It's been quite a day for me. I can tell you again. I can try again after some rest. Right. Yes, there were a few confusing elements, I must say. I'm not sure I fully understood the story. Perhaps you didn't understand. I was asking you how you met them, and you told me about you were camping in the wood or something, and it wasn't clear. You smile at them sheepishly, knowing that we never promised a good or a true story. I am not much of a storyteller. I'm more of an archer. Alright. Well, a story is a story all the same, and I suppose that is all I asked for. Have a sleep, and I will arrange the gift for you in the morning. I do not need sleep in the same way that you do. I will be resting, but I tend to rest in a more meditative state, so you needn't worry about anything as you sleep. I do have a bedroll for when I do get visitors. I can find that and roll it out for you if you will. And you're like, no, thank you, but I've got a bedroll, I'm fine. Very well. Have a sleep and I won't murder you. Are we still okay with taking a gift when we didn't give a story? You did give a story, just not a good one. Our memories of this place get quite scrambled, and we were quite surprised to find ourselves here. It was unexpected. Yes, I understand that this place can be very difficult to understand for people of your kind. I'm a bit sus on this guy. Is there a way to sleep with some protection? You can if you can think of one. I'd rather either tell the story well or not take a gift. We give a crappy story, but I feel bad about being incoherent. Wouldn't be a fair exchange though if we give a bad story but get a good gift. The exchange was a gift for a story, no mention of quality of either. Might be a shite gift, we wouldn't know. My memory of what happened on our side is unfortunately clearer than the actual meeting of Lord of Avalon. Yes, I understand that, and that's sort of what I was asking for. I wanted to know whether you remembered your time here, and whether he let you remember your time here. I hear he is... Then he stops himself. Never mind. I'm sorry, it probably doesn't help that I don't remember all that much of that visit. I've been getting some of it back, but there's like a memory erasing thing when people return to my plane from here. Yes, that's right. I do remember meeting Diggin, but the rest after that's very foggy. Maybe we need to sleep on it. What were you going to say? He looks at you and a smile crosses his lips, and he says, I've heard that Ordval can be protective of his privacy. He is a little more likely to use the memory manipulation magics. What did you say? Sorry, Ordval. Ordval. Yes, it is a name that his more familiar subjects will call him. Probably a little presumptuous of me to mention it. I would not suggest you open with that. Does the Lord of Avalon not normally let people remember their first meeting? I did not say that. I'll have an insight check from you. 17, much better. 17 plus 2, 19. With a 19 there, you can tell that he is protecting himself in making sure that the words he chose were very clear. And he did not deny what you just said as a summary, but he also didn't say those words. You gather with your 19 insight that it's very important. Word choicing is very important for Faye, something you already knew, and that he is making sure to not insult or spread rumour. Right, I hear what you're saying. And he goes back to eating his bowl of stew-like food. You're saying, so you're not saying, you haven't said that he's using magic to make sure I forget. I'm just trying to understand my situation. That is correct. I have not said that. Might be better with it if I stick with Diggin then. Better than trying to say that name and butchering it. Yes. I would say be careful saying names wrong here. It can be quite offending. Right. Well, we need to sleep. Might be clear-headed. Benadryl never minded. Benadryl definitely minded. If you ever called him Benadryl to his face. Alright, so going to sleep, yes or no? What are we thinking? There's a thumbs up and a thumbs down emote that you have access to if you are a follower of this channel. So thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we going to sleep? Yes. No. It is getting very late and you are feeling very tired. The night is not coming because you are in the feywild, and in my feywild, time doesn't pass. But in my Feywild, unlike a lot of other Feywilds, this is still a planet, and the sun is hanging in the sky because this planet is tidally locked to the sun, meaning that it always shows the same face to the sun at all times, kind of like the moon is to us in the real world. Which means that it is not always twilight. It is just always whatever time of day you happen to be on the planet. Right on the side that is facing the sun, it is always noon. And on the side directly away, it's always midnight. And where you happen to be, it is about 2 hours before, 2 hours after morning. So it's sort of a twilight morning. That was an overwhelming yes. We are going to sleep. So where are we going to sleep is the next question. Are we going to sleep in Dale's house? Are we going to try and sleep outside in the wilderness, I guess? What do you guys think? Or elsewhere? I don't know if you've got another option. What are we thinking? Outside, in the house. In the house. Sleep in the house. It'd be rude to refuse his hospitality. In the house. Most people are saying in the house. There's a few people offering other ones. Wouldn't that make a desert to the sun and a ring around a habitable zone if the planet's tidally locked? Correct, Kim. That is pretty much exactly what has happened on my world. The side opposite is an Arctic waste, and the side close is a sweltering desert. And there is a ring around the habitable zone, around the twilight, essentially. In the house sounds safer. In the house, outside. Alright, it is not a unanimous decision, so we'll put it to a poll. I'm not hearing many other options other than just that. So, in his... where to sleep? Where to sleep? Do we have anything we'd be willing to offer in exchange for his hospitality? For the hospitality, you went and hunted and foraged some foods for the stew. Dale is a vegetarian, so didn't take the hunt, but took the forage. So you think that's probably enough, but maybe not. I'd like to take you up in your hospitality for the night, but I would not like to be in your debt. Are we square if I stay here? You offer that then as a way of not being in the debt, and Dale says, I offer you hospitality in my house with no expectations of repercussion besides your company. You being here is sufficient to pay for the debt of me offering you to be here. The Feywild is stressful, yeah. Alright, with 80% of the vote, Apis decides to take him up on his hospitality and sleep inside Dale's house. Don't move his furniture and make holes in the siding, no barricading. Never agree to a campaign in the Feywild, in it. You're a kind person then, well met. I will sleep here. And you head inside. Mel buzzes down to Apis. There's so many flowers here. Yes, Mel. And he says, you are welcome to enjoy all of the flowers around my house. The flowers around my house are for fragrance and beauty alone. They are not for eating or drinking, and so I'm sure you will find them most appetizing to your tastes. And however, I will warn you that if you stray further towards the tree line, there are many flowers that will have unwelcoming effects to you. Okay, I will fly. I will have the flowers. Apis, there are so many flowers. Yes, Mel. Lots of flowers. Just try and stay close by. All right. Yes. Avoid the name dropping. Also, Empress. Oh, I'm sorry, Apis. Archer. That's right. That's right. Empress. Alright, okay. She flies away, and she's already absolutely wasted on some fey flowers. I'll go by Archer. You shout after her. Archer! Archer! You look across to Dale, who is looking at you with a smirk. And you say, you do not have permission to use my name. And he laughs. That is fine. I have no desire to... There is an expression in your world, isn't there? I learned it. To sex with you, is it? Is it to screw with me, or to fuck with me? Yes, that is it. I have no desire to screw with you. You are safe here, Archer. And then he sort of smiles and leans back. As he leans back, he puts his hand down inside of his vegetative kind of clothing, the stuff that seems like it's weaved from stuff, and weaved from flax and things. And he pulls out a pipe, sticks it in a real long pipe, and he takes out some crushed up stuff and adds it to the end and lights it up. Starts to smoke on the porch. What do you guys want to do? Heading to sleep now? Have you met anyone like Mel before? Oh yes, they're quite common around here. The creatures of her size and her intelligence are very common to the feywild. Tell me, will she be safe with so much pollen exposure? He laughs for a second, pauses for a good 10 seconds, takes a big drag of the pipe. Breathes it out, and it seems to create like a corkscrew smoke. Watches it for a second, and you're on the verge of asking again when he says, "It depends what you mean by safe, I suppose." Take out our pipes and start to play on the porch. Can we take a hit of it and blow smoke rings? Can if you want. Sorry, Robert said Mel. Apis would have said the Empress. Have you met anyone like the Empress before? My bad. Doesn't feel like a good idea leaving Empress out there by herself in that condition. Could we offer to cook for Dale in exchange for a room inside for her as well? We've already eaten, so cooking probably won't go down so well, but you could ask him if it's okay for, or demand that she be allowed to stay inside as well for no extra exchange. This scene needs music. Let's play some panpipes. Thumbs up, thumbs down. We playing the panpipes before we go to sleep. She's not going up to chase a dragon. You can look over and she's close by. She's still within like 30 feet, and she's just like bobbing up and down in this like field of flowers. I want to see if I can blow some fairy smoke rings. Not playing past the pipe with dude, bro. Get a drunk pee back. How's life here? You only ask for our company. Are you feeling lonely? I do not feel lonely. I am alone but not lonely. I enjoy my own company greatly. And from time to time I enjoy the company of others. When they pass. Life is long. We are not in a rush. If the next company along takes a year, then it takes a year. We're historically not good at cooking anyway. That's a very good point. Alright, lots of yeses. Oh, quite a lot of no's coming in as well about the panpipes. Oh, that's a tough one. That seems like right down the middle. That's hard to tell. So I am going to put that to a poll real quick. Just a 1 minute poll. We have historically been a very bad player of the panpipes when it is needed to be good, and then when it would have been beneficial to be bad, we were excellent at them. And it got us involved in a courtship ritual with some fairy dragons. So 1 minute decision. The poll is up now. Do we want to play the panpipes? Yes or no? Empress usually sleeps with me unless you'd object, of course. No objections. Your bee can sleep wherever you sleep. Do you smoke? And he offers you the pipe. Got out of a threesome with earworms due to these pipes, so let the bee go to sleep. Alright, 56% of Apis decides, no, we're not going to play the panpipes. Next question immediately on the poll is going to be, take the pipe. Yes or no? It is late in the day, you have got a full belly. This Eladrin is offering you some fairy weed, essentially, some fairy pipe. You don't know what it'll do. If it might just be like tobacco, or it might be like marijuana or something. You don't know if it'll give you some kind of a high, or whether it'll be tasty, or whether it'll just calm nerves, or whatever. You've no idea what he's offering you. But the act of turning it down might be an insult. You do know that, like, the currency of the Feywild is much less about money and coins, and more about insults and compliments and owing favors, and social interactions are much more of a currency here. Mel's already high. We need to designate the adventure. We need to be the designated adventurer. Mel's all altered. She's in an altered state. 68% of Apis, just over 2/3 of Apis' mind says, no, we shouldn't take this. You do smoke, he says, and you say, that is very kind of you. You're a very generous person, but no, I don't smoke. So you've turned it down, but turned it down in a non-insulting way. And he says, very well. He smiles at you again. Takes a long drag. And then you're going to sleep. Can we smell from the scent of the smoke what it is? Very good question, Savannah. Let's do a check of some kind. We're going to go to the dice cam. We're going to make it a nature check, I believe, which you are not proficient in, so I'll give you a +3 in intelligence to it. +3 intelligence base. Oh, 17. Dirty 20. All right. So dirty 20 nature check. You can tell that it is reminiscent of tobacco, but it has a lot sweeter smell. It smells quite a lot like a fruity vape, essentially. It does have like a bitterness underneath it, but it's like this fruity bitter, mostly sweet, but with a bitter kind of undertone. And he's not blowing it directly in your face, so it's harder to pick up on too much of it. He's blowing interesting spirals with it for the most part. It doesn't, like, even with a dirty 20, he's smoking things from the Feywild, so it's not exactly like you're super familiar with it. So you can't tell whether it has any medicinal qualities or any hallucinogenic qualities or anything like that. But you can tell that it seems, if you were to hazard a guess, you'd suspect that it is essentially just like vaping. Can you make pictures with the smoke? I can. And then I'm going to roll for him to see how well he's doing. Doesn't tend to do it too much. Ooh, below average. Not the greatest picture. He seems to try a couple of times, because the first one, it like makes this kind of like making pictures in the clouds. You can look at the cloud and go, if you turn your head and squint and ignore that bottom part, it kind of looks like a person swimming. You're like, okay, yeah, I guess. But then it very quickly dissipates, and he goes, sorry, let me try that again. Even worse. This time a breeze kind of takes it halfway out of his mouth, just a cross breeze, and it kind of ink blot tests. You're not sure even what he was trying to do with that one. Or at the least I thought I could, he jokes. Whew. Give me one minute here. It's getting a little I shouldn't take such big drags. 1 second. He takes a few deep breaths and just waits for a minute, and you're just sitting there in silence on his porch, listening to the of Mel nearby, just enjoying herself in the flowers. we have any incense at all? You have a herbalism kit, so maybe you've got a couple of bits of incense in that, but I don't think you've specifically bought any incense, so I don't believe so. I see a very high bee. He laughs. Yes. She may have to slow down. She's not from here, and is she not from here? And you say, no, she's from my... I'm not sure, actually. It would be interesting to know whether she was from here, as she remembered her times in the Feywild when she has come. I don't think she's come before, so I'm not sure exactly. What was Mel's original owner's name? He was called Jack Creed. You don't know if Jack Creed was the original owner or not, but that's who owned her when you knew. Still, better than we could do. Much like our storytelling, perhaps. Perhaps rest is needed. Yeah. Yes, perhaps. Hope this is not what the gift is. Slow down, Empress. Those flowers aren't going anywhere. This is what... such a... look, a beautiful, pretty one! And she buzzes across behind the house. Be interesting to chat with her about it after some rest. Empress, coming in now. One more moment. He takes one big drag again. 19, there we go. This time, as he breathes out, you see that the other stuff that he was breathing out before has kind of just hung in the air around him, like it's dispersed into this smoke, but he's got this like hazy cloud, just kind of a fog in front of him now. And as he breathes out this one, he doesn't seem to be breathing out smoke at first. He's just breathing out air, and he's manipulating that fog. And it's like a baker with a cake slice, and he's manipulating the fog like a baker with icing over a cake. And you can see that he's smoothing it out and flattening it down, compacting it almost towards the base, and he's creating this bottom layer. With the same breath, the smoke seems to start to pour from his mouth now, as if he was somehow holding two different volumes of this smoke in him. Now you can start to see the smoke start to pour out towards the end of the breath, and it just pours out in this like this stream, like a faucet's been turned on. He gets to the end of his breath, but the smoke continues in that same momentum, that same inertia. It seems to pierce into the layer that he'd been setting up before, and it seems to ripple it. And then as it ripples, you realise that it's taking on the shape of ocean or a disturbed waterways. You can see definite waves. You can even see that some of the smoke is starting to coalesce, and where it coalesces, it gets a little brighter white coloured, and so it seems to be the cresting white what do they call them? The white horses of a cresting wave towards the edges. But you can tell distinctly the smoke that he's just poured out, and the smoke that he was already kind of manipulating are two different types of smoke now, it seems. You can see the other one still moving through the water as it's rippling, and as it moves, it seems to be coalescing more from a stream of a faucet, like a long, thin stream of smoke. The front seems to be moving slower against the resistance of the fog, which means the back has a chance to catch up, and it coalesces and bulks up into this darker this mass. And as it pushes through the water, it seems to take on this sort of aquatic marine animal form as it's moving through the smoke. Eventually it gets to the edge of the smoke on the other side and turns around and comes back, and as it starts to come back, he's starting to breathe in again, as if he's sucking that smoke back towards him. It moves through with picking up the pace until it gets towards the front, just as one of these cresting waves starts to tumble towards you sitting there on the porch, and then it bursts from the waves, and you can see this huge like the closest you can imagine is like a beluga whale, something with like a huge big head. The front part of the head seems to be large and bulbous, but it seems to have almost an anglerfish-like protrusion from the top of its head. And just as it gets out of the waves, it'll just disperses back into a fog cloud in front of him. He just sucks in one more time and then pushes it back out again. It has been a while since I've done that. Get some sleep. You will need to be on your best. I was going to say behavior, that's not right. You will need your best mind in place when we meet the brainfish. You call to Empress. Empress! She comes buzzing around the corner. Apis, I love you, Apis. Thank you, Empress. My name's Archer. Archer, I love this Archer. And she comes and buzzes down and lands on the balcony on the edge of his porch. You are my favorite Archer. Thank you, Empress. Come here. And she buzzes over and lands on your lap, and you just kind of like give her scritches in a little bee fuzz. This is, I like this place. This is lovely place. I love you, Apis. Archer. She's just asleep on your lap. Well, good night. I wish you an enjoyable night, Dale. Have a nice rest. You go to say thank you, and then because Ice Cream has remembered, that means that some of the synapses of Apis' mind has remembered. There's just as you're about to thank him for a wonderful night, you remember as well that that the Fae, they're so interested in wordplay that even thanking them can be seen as they have done something for you. And you remember your mother telling you a story about how the origins of certain polite behavior on the material plane, such as the expectation to say please for something, and then to say thank you once you've gotten it, and then for that person to say that you are welcome for it, to give some acknowledgement of it's nothing, or it's my pleasure, or to the origins of the material plane interactions around certain polite behavior come from the need for the fairies to acknowledge that it was a fair deal. If you thank the fairies and they choose not to tell you that it was nothing or you're welcome, if they don't give that response, then now you're in their debt because you've thanked them and they've not acknowledged that it was nothing. And so that's a way of them taking control of you in that sort of way as well. Not taking control of you in the same way that they would with your names, but to have something over you. And Apis, in this moment, as you're about to thank Dale for the lovely evening or the food or whatever it is you're about to thank them for, just out of habit, you were getting up and leaving, so you were like, thank you for the evening. You catch yourself before the words leave your mouth, and you reminded once more, oh boy, I'm going to have to be really careful about how I speak here. Everything can be used against me. Apis' brain is going to be a pretzel by the time we get back to the material plane. I know my synapse will be, yeah. So instead you say something along the lines of, I saw Fancy give something before, what was it? Your company's been pleasant. And Dale says, as has yours. Sleep well. And you head inside. You find the spare room, and you lay out your bedroll on the cushions in there. He doesn't have a bed in that spare room because, as I say, the Fey creatures don't tend to need to sleep. Do we risk using the dice before sleep? You can if you want. So the dice are, for anyone who doesn't know, the bone dice right there in the center of your inventory. They are... Where the hell are they? Oh, here they are. They're a little wooden box that has a name on it in Sylvan, a name Bobby, and they used to belong to a little shit. A little fairy creature, a little plump cherub-like creature that has appeared to Apis a few times. One such time was when they gave you these dice, essentially. They are bone dice, and you have ascertained from having them identified by some artificer that they are made of the bones from a centaur, and they have divinatory abilities. You can ask them a question. You can take them in your hand and ask them a question. Ideally, it's a yes-no sort of question. And then you can roll the dice, and they will give you a yes or a no answer. However, the person who identified them for you also told you that with magic like this, the more you ask of them in a short period of time, the more likely they are to give you a false answer or a randomized answer. And my text is in order, yeah. So the first time each day that you use these dice, they are guaranteed to give you a correct answer. Every time after the first time, there is an increased chance of them giving you a randomized answer. And you haven't yet put any work into working out what that random chance is or how quickly it increases. So I believe, from memory, we have used the dice today already. Out of character, do you decide before what's true or not? Do you base the truthfulness on what is rolled? You don't know that. I will not answer that yet. Wouldn't trust the dice. We don't know exactly when they were last used, especially since we travelled to the Fae, so they might give false responses. So, are we asking the dice anything? Have we used them today? I don't remember. I can't remember. Can we look on the dice now and read the name that's on the box right now? You can. You look down and you see that the name Bobby is on the box. That's the dice have we used you today. Yeah. I'm just going to roll a 50-50 chance of whether we've used them today or not, because I can't remember and it's going to take too long. We have used them today. We've used them once today, some point before we came to the Feywild, or Apis doesn't fully remember whether we used them, but leans towards thinking it was yes. So, use the dice, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do we want to ask the dice anything? No, 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 no. Most people saying no, overwhelming no. Apis decides, nah, we're not going to use these dice. Don't know what they do, don't know how they interact with being in the Feywild. Not worth the risk. So you head to sleep instead. You close the door and you barricade it in terms of just pulling over a desk that's behind the door, in front of the door. You haven't put a great deal of work into it. If the guy really wants to get into your room desperately, then he might be able to bash his way in, but he's definitely not coming in without waking you up doing so. So you just pull the desk slightly, like 6 inches over, just so it's in front of the door, and if somebody tries to come in, it'll definitely wake you. And then you put the sleeping bee, the twitchy wings, put her comfortably on a cushion over on one side. You get a couple of cushions and place them out, place your bedroll over the top of them, and you lie down to go to sleep. As you sleep, Apis becomes uber aware of the fact that dreaming in the Feywild is a very different experience. I don't believe that Apis has ever had a lucid dream before. Not during the campaign, anyway. We've had dreams that are prophetic, and dreams in which we have had some capabilities of interaction. But this one is like creative mode on some kind of video game. You have got unlocked to you everything. You can come up with your own landscape. You can come up with your own people, your own adventures. This is a unique experience. You are not being being forced into a lucid state by an otherworldly god this time. Those are the only times that Apis has had lucid or lucid-like dreaming. Apis is fully in charge. So, what does Apis dream about? This is technically a lucid dream, isn't it? This being a memory that we're sharing with the Myconids. Kind of, yeah. Not exactly. This, as we're playing through it, is actually what happened. Now play the panpipes. We get the panpipes out. Just out of hilarious effect, I want to see if Apis is good at panpipes, even when they're in a lucid dream and have full control. 16. Okay, 16 plus your panpipes of 4, I believe it is. Apis, when dreaming, is a very good panpipe player. You get the panpipes out and you start to play, and you can see, in a synesthetic kind of a way, you see colours spraying out the bottom of each of the individual pipes from your pan, like a rainbow. Each of them spews a different pigment forwards into the world, and then you can see it kind of splashing out like an ocean around you, starting to form rivulets, like when you see those uber satisfying coloration videos of somebody pouring entire tins of paint onto one thing and then pouring another paint into the middle of it, and it seems to spread outwards and it tips down the side of whatever they're tipping it onto, and it's beautiful and satisfying. You can see this happening from your own pans. What happens then? Flying with Mel. As these colours fly out, you can see bursting up from beneath it like a bubble. You see emerging a bee who bursts out of the colours and buzzes over to you, and then you feel your own wings out of your back start to sprout and start to tip you forwards, and suddenly, much like Mel, you are flying supine to the ground. Fly over the forest and the mountains, looking for the ocean, the island, to meet the merry gentleman. As you're flying, you're creating forests. These colours are still pouring from your panpipes. The greens are starting to spread out, starting to dominate the land. But there's like this vibrant, really bright sort of, what's the word for it? Like a luminous green. And then underneath there's like turquoises and violets, even just like in the ground. The undergrowth beneath this forest canopy that you're creating, and you're flying over it. Show Unguhev, who's boss. You see flying over, as you're flying over this forest, looking for the merry gentleman's castle. Obviously, you haven't seen it, and you don't know what he lives in. You don't know if it is a castle or a palace or a mansion. But then a part of Apis' synapses decide to conjure Unguhev. This huge dragon bursts from the side of the forest and starts to fly towards you. And then spinning yourself around towards them as it flies, the mouth opens, and then as it's flying, Mel just right down its throat and poof, out of its back of the tail, like a big snake. It goes all the way down Unguhev and bursts through his back, and he leaves him with this stunned look on his face. And he turns to look, and Mel's burst out the back of him, and then he starts to turn and fall, and he slams down through the canopy of the tree. Lakara sitting at the merry gentleman's feet. You look back around and you now see this huge wizard tower kind of like structure, rickety and with other sections coming off of it, like towers and pillars and observatory sections that have just been tacked on. And you've created this. It seems to emerge out of the forest canopy, and you fly over towards it. And sitting in the tallest tower, you can see this merry gentleman as you've seen him before, a long, tall, slender individual with copper skin, long pointed nose, lots of sharp features, hugely long ears, and golden sort of auburn locks, brown top hat, and a pink snapdragon in the lapel of his green plant suit, and he smiles at you. And as he smiles, you can see that Lakara, your friend from childhood, your mule friend, your half dwarf, half human friend, is sitting there, and she's a child again. She's excuse me. She's the age that she was when you almost lost her when she was dancing, and you can see that she's standing there, but at his side, and she's dancing in that same way that when she was dancing with the fairies. Careful what we dream here, it might actually exist in parallel. Briar, you look down, and at the base of this tower in the forest canopy, you see your druid friend Briar, who's toddled along, and she looks up at you and waves, and as she waves, her hand grows into this huge ape-like long fingers and shorter thumb, and her other hand does the same as her arm grows out longer right across the body until she's this this gorilla that then starts to climb up the tower towards you. You slam down and land near Lakara, and you give her a big hug, and you can feel her warmth. It's good to see her again. It's been so long. It's been 3 years since you saw her. The Merry Gentleman says, "I hear you're looking for me, Apis." And you let go of Lakara and look back at him and say, "I am." He says, "Look at your dice." And you bring the dice out and you dream about them changing their name to say Apis, and explaining to us exactly how they work with all the information that we need to know to use them safely and accurately. And you try to think about that. And there's limits to the lucidity, apparently. Sorry, Cake Ladder. You look at the dice, and as soon as you open the box, they start to come out and swirl around you. They swirl around your head. They land in your palm. Show the fiend who's boss by taking him out. A large tree floating on a cloud island in the sky, carrying all sorts of fruits and having all 4 seasons on it. You look up, and as you're interested in the dice in the palm of your hand, something catches your eye movement in the sky, and you see this large cloud that has this huge tree on it with all 4 seasons on it. Interestingly, religion check. That's a dirty 20 for you. That's 17 plus 3 again. With a dirty 20 religion check, you recognize this tree. The tree with all 4 seasons on it is a symbol to one of the gods, the god of seasons, the god of balance, the god of cycles. I forget, Shanta, I think her name is. Interestingly, you have dreamt of one of the symbols to my gods, Vanna. I wonder if you'll now have Shanta's attention as well. Apis has the attention of a lot of gods. Alright. Can't be lucid dreaming all day. So, last couple of things, let's see. We reach up and we find ourselves no longer on the tower with the Merry Gentleman, but we're now on that cloud. We're reaching up for the tree that has all of the fruit on it. We pluck some and place it in our pocket. It looks like a large mango. Happy dreams, not thinking about the bad stuff on our radar. Yeah, you dream about a cake dragon. Here it is. Yes, of course. The last thing you dream of for the night is a cake dragon. Now we have to come up with what a cake dragon looks like. What sort of a cake is it, everybody? What kind of cake? It's canon now. Hype. Black forest gatto with cherries. Oh, that's delicious. All right, yes, I do like a black forest gatto. You see this black forest gatto cake dragon. All right, I need to Google black forest gatto. And then a black forest gatto in ages. Black forest gatto. Okay. Ooh, fuck, these are delicious. I'm gonna make myself so hungry right now. Alright, so what would it look like? The cherries would be... The eyes would definitely look like cherries, and then it would have cherries down the back of its neck. It would have like white frosting on top, essentially, and it would have this brown chocolatey skin and scales. Alright, yeah, so you see bursting from the forest beneath, as you've plucked this mango and placed it in your pocket. You look down over the edge of the cloud on which you're standing, and the cloud seems to disappear, and you just fall, but you're not falling, you're floating. And as you float, this canopy bursts aside, and you see this dragon emerging. It is, let's think, like a circular shape. What would it, like its wings form a circle somehow? How would it fly? Let me think. This is tough. It's a cake, but it's got... I feel like its wings are almost semicircles each. And its wings spread out in huge semicircular discs. It's like from the center point, almost like an axe head. Center, it comes out and then spreads around to form the large semicircular axe-like wings. And as it spreads out and beats, you can see from a bird's eye view of it just this white, almost frosting-like appearance from above. But then as it looks its head up, you can see that coming out from beneath, between these wings, this long neck that looks up. And as it looks up, you can see this hugely muscular, dark chocolate-skinned, scaled base to its chin, and dripping this white down its necks. And you can see these looking up at you, these dark red cherry eyes, and these red spines, these red cherry spines that protrude from its back. The base of the spine looks like a dark red bulbous cherry, and then the actual spine itself looks like the stalk of a cherry. I like it a lot. Alright, as we dream of this Black Forest Gateau dragon, cake dragon, you hear Apis, and Mel is buzzing alongside you. What is it? Are you going to sleep for longer? We need to move. I cannot get out of the room. What do you mean? I need you to wake if we're going to... And you start to realize, oh yeah, that's right, I'm dreaming. And you are reminded of where you are. The dream starts to lower you to the ground. You're not falling, but you're now feeling gravity in this dream again. You look around for the cake dragon and it's gone. You look around for the forest and the canopies have gone. You're hurtling towards the ground, not in a way that's making you fearful, but you are you're enjoying the descent. And as you fall, the ground of this forest floor seems to turn to wood, and these other wooden like growing like a bamboo on a time lapse turned right up. You see growing out of the ground these wooden walls that seems to shoot up towards you hundreds of feet, and you're falling down this sort of wooden tube now towards the base, this wooden floor, and the walls are now descending with you to remain about your level. And as you are falling, you can see your own body on the ground, sleeping on a bedroll on top of some cushions. You see this desk, tiny and approaching at great speed, until eventually you slow down right at the last second, and you land back in your body, and your eyes open, and Mel is sitting on the table on the desk by the door. We need to. It is time to move, Apis. So we need to go. Immediately, your hand goes to your pocket. You don't feel a mango there. As Mel detoxed now, then she's definitely coming around from a hangover, maybe. Nah, drinking in the Feywild doesn't come with hangovers. Let's come meet Brian the fish. You start to get to your feet and put away your bedroll, and then you think to check your dice. You grab the dice out, and you notice that the name on your dice, the name on the dice box, says Bobby in Sylvan. Lucky horseshoe. You reach down to your horseshoe, and you realise, it doesn't feel the same as when you often wake. The horseshoe doesn't seem to be feeling quite so lucky. What do you want to do? It is a new day. What is Apis doing with today? Oh well, leave it behind then. Probably means the dice won't reset either. Get up, move the desk for the Empress. You move it back and then open the door, and Empress buzzes off out. We head on out to his wash basin, and you see that there's a bowl of an empty bowl and a jug of water next to the bowl. It seems like it's been set out, and there's a little note next to it that says, please feel free to use my amenities. Take 20, collect thoughts, try to tell a story again. You look around for Dale, you don't see him. Yell after her to take it easy with the flowers as she goes out the front door. Alright, so you use the water to fill the bowl. You see that it's quite a nice warm water, and you use that to do some washing up, do your morning ablutions, wash your hands, wash your face, get a little bit refreshed. You do feel very refreshed. You feel like it was a very pleasant and very deep sleep, even though you were lucid the entire time. Right, thank you on it, so he isn't in our debt. No thank yous. He said please. Leave the story out of the plans unless pressed. Just wish him a good day. Yeah, you take out, do you have a pen? You've got a crow feather, there we go. You've got crow feather, and I don't believe you've got any ink, do you? Does Apis write? You must have ink. You were writing in the book yesterday. Yeah, I'm going to say you've got ink. You've got ink, you've got the crow feather, so you dip the ink in the, you dip your feather in the ink and you write quickly on the bottom of the note that he left for you, have a good day, and then you place your stuff away and you leave his house. As you leave his house, you can see him standing out in the field in front of his house, and you can see that there is a training dummy of sorts been erected. It's about 60 or so feet from his house, and he is using a long curved blade, kind of like a scimitar, I want to say, like a scimitar. He's using it, but with a much longer, sort of much more almost ornamental curve to it. You don't think it would have much in the way of practicality. The actual cutting edge is probably all down here, and then it's just got this like ornate kind of curved tip to the end of it. And he's just going through the motions, almost if ever you've done karate or one of those sorts of martial arts that's a little bit more about form and going through particular moves. It reminds you something like that. He's not going like ha 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 hacking and slashing and things. He's practicing practicing kata. Yeah, he's doing that sort of moves with his blade against this this training dummy, for want of a better word. Tai Chi like, yeah. So what do you want to do? Leave. You've grabbed your stuff, you start to head down the steps. It's not long before he notices you. You're awake. It is good to see you. I hope that you slept well. And he continues his little movements again. Forgive me one more moment. I'm almost finished. And he does a few more things, one back to back, one after another. And then he pushes himself in. With a flourish of the sword, he tucks it down the back of the training dummy into like a sheath that seems to be made into the training dummy's back. And then he grabs the training dummy by the arms, lifts it up and under one arm, starts to walk back towards you. You are ready to set off towards the merry gentleman. He gets to the porch and places it up against the side of the porch, in sort of the nook between the stairs and the porch itself, and just tucks it into that corner there. An interesting blade. Anything fun or exciting happened while I was out? Yes, it is a very special blade to me. Nothing happened while you were out. No, I took to the forest once again for a bit of a walk, clear my head. I came back before too long, and I have been resting since, I suppose. I rested myself as well. So you mentioned that my friend Empress here, and she buzzes over to you. You mentioned that she is maybe from here. Am I from here? There's a chance, Mel. Apparently you're kind of relatively common here, like larger bees and bees that can talk and things. Wow, that is I don't remember this place. And she looks around as if she thinks you mean like right here, like she's from here. And you're like, well, it might not look like this where you're from, but maybe you're from this world. Oh, okay. I wouldn't let Empress talk more than necessary, to be honest. Sorry, if I'm saying Mel, it's out of habit. I meant Empress. Apis is better than I am at remembering these things. Well, that's the end of that train of thought. Dale says, well, it's no time like the present to begin, I suppose. I have the gift that I promised you, my end of the bargain, and he holds out a wooden box. It is not too dissimilar to your dice box. It seems to be made of very similar, or perhaps even the same, wood. It seems to be designed in a very similar, or even the same way. It is just larger. Whereas your dice box is this size, this thing is about double the dimension in both directions. In fact, all dimensions. So it's about 8 times the size, double the length, width, and depth of this box. But it looks very similar. It does not have a name etched into it, however. This is... Ordval will like this. And he offers you this box. Insight check, is it a trick or gag gift? Alright, insight check it is. 16. This dice is rolling well today. Can't quite see that. 16. 16 plus your insight of 2 is an 18. 18's pretty good. Again, you don't know you don't know fey creatures all that well, so it's not as good as it could have been, but 16 is still pretty good. He does not seem to be trying to trick you or gag you with it. If he is, then he's got a good poker face. He's not like giving it away with like a, here, have this. It's not like he's holding back a laugh, or it's not like he's hungry in his eyes for like seeing what you're going to do with this box or anything like that. He's just handing you a box and said it's part of his end of the bargain. That's beautiful. What is it? It is a jewellery box. Twice the size, 8 times the volume. Twice the size, because it's twice the dimensions, 8 times the volume. Yeah, okay. Is there anything in it? I cannot tell you. Can you tell me about it? I'd rather be able to answer any questions Dagan might have about it if I'm handing it over to him. I can tell you that it's a jewellery box. Did you make it yourself? No. This has been an object in my possession for approximately 726 cycles, and maybe a little off. Okay, and how did you come about it? I was gifted it by... You wouldn't know her. And why are you giving it to me? You require a gift. You gave me your end of the bargain, I am upholding mine. Do you know his tastes well? The Lord of Avalon is familiar to all of his subjects. Should be taking a gift from a Fae? He's not giving you a gift, he's giving you an exchange. You've already given him something in return, so this is not an accepting of a gift. You are taking an object as part of an exchange that you are then going to use as a gift for a Fae. Sounds like he could be passing on a cursed item or something. Will problems occur if we open it? Problems always occur, whether you open this or not. Why would you give me such a precious thing? I never mentioned that this was precious to me. It seems generous of you. It is no more generous than you have deserved. While I may not know her, the Lord of Avalon might be familiar, and might appreciate knowing who made it. Very well. I do not know if she made it herself, but she was a travelling dryad. Her name was Shlila. And what will be the merry gentleman's thoughts? It starts to piss it down with rain, apparently. I might have to close my windows if the rain noise gets too loud. Just let me know. Take it and yeet it later. Can always do that. It's way too shifty. He promised a gift, but never said what the state of it would be. Could be cursed or something. Could be. Might have found the fact we don't remember the first encounter as interesting as if we had. Is this an important object for you? Importance is an odd attribute to ascribe to an object. Objects are either useful or not. They have no importance. Could be just collecting dust and wants it out of his house. Perhaps. He doesn't seem to wear jewellery, so having a jewellery box and holding it for 700 and some days is information. I realise over 700 cycles is a blink in the eye to you, but that amount of time is significant for those like me. That's why I seem shocked. Oh, 700 cycles is, as you say, a blink. Is the person that gave you this friends with the merry gentleman? I had no reason to believe that she knew him. Knew him personally. No more than we deserve after last night. Sus. Could be rude to refuse it. Ooh, it's going to be an interesting one. Alright, we're going to have to put this to a poll. Poll. Accept the jewelry box. Yes. Or no. Kind of intrigued by a wandering dryad. Aren't they normally attached to one tree? You can ask that, Richard. Yeah. You say, I don't know enough about them, but my understanding of dryads are that they're bound to a particular tree. And he says, they usually start that way, yes. If something happens to their tree, it is possible for them to become unbound, become wandering. It is also possible that from time to time a dryad binds themselves to an entire grove or an entire clearing of trees. Clearing of trees seems oxymoronic, but I think you know what I mean. A copse of trees can be ruled over or tied to with a singular dryad. As it was, Shlila was a wandering dryad because her tree had been felled, but she was still bound to its wood. She wandered with a great deal of its wood on her person. If anything happens to their tree, you mean like getting cut or burned or corrupted by something? All of the above? Any of the above? 96% of Apus's mind. I thought this was going to be way closer than that. But with 96% of Apus's mind deciding, yes, we're going to accept this jewellery box, you reach out your hand and you take it from him. He smiles as you take the box. Our exchange is complete. Now, let us take the road. And he sets off. What sort of smile? Difficult to know for sure, but you definitely felt like there was some enjoyment to his smile, not just like it wasn't maybe it wasn't just pleasant, but it was like maybe there was some fun behind that smile. I said contact-free delivery. 0 stars. Feywild is exhausting. Yeah. So we think that we're part of a prank. It's possible, or Apis is also smart enough to know it's possible that Dale's enjoyment is coming from you second guessing everything. It could be that Dale is double bluffing by making you feel like you've taken something that you shouldn't have, and then making you doubt yourself, and that's the kind of level of prank that he's playing, perhaps. It could be a bluff, could be a double bluff. Maybe he's even triple bluffing. It's or maybe you were misreading it. Maybe he just smiles that way because he enjoys life and enjoys everything. He enjoys interchanges with people. Give it to the merry gentleman, dobbing the dude if it's bad. Yeah. I think he enjoys our paranoia. It's very possible. He enjoys the squirming, or he's evil. Either way, don't touch the box. You take the box and you put it in your bag immediately so that you're not touching it more than needed. And then you set off to catch up to him. He is walking with purpose, and he's not walking with anything. He has his hunting knife in his back pocket, but other than that, he's fine. You know what? Fuck it. He sees a blink dog on the way. Dale takes off, and you are following him at a decent pace. He doesn't seem to have anything on his person, like satchel bags or anything. He seems to be travelling light. He's got like a knife in his belt, and that's pretty much it. As he gets to the edge of what you assume his land is, he's continued on down that hill. If you remember, you came down a hill, kind of a slatey kind of hill. You got to a field of flowers where his shack was, and then there was like another tree line below that. He's continuing down that direction, and kind of the direction you were going yesterday. And as he gets towards the tree line, he whistles out, and he shouts, "What's a French sound? What's a Sylvan sounding Harvey? Harvey." He shouts, "Harvey! Harvey!" And you're not sure who or what he's shouting for until there's a pop sound with smoke that seems to crack from the nearby tree line, and you see this large dog, kind of this blackish. It's like a chocolate color in the light, but in the shadow it kind of looks black. And he's got this muscular upper body and this long panting tongue out to the side. He seems to just appear at the tree line, and then he looks over towards the guy and starts running towards him, and then he gets about 30 feet before there's another one of these cracks, and he cracks about 30 feet closer and appears nightcrawler style, closer and closer with each few seconds cracking. Harvey, Harvey! And then he pops and lands in Dale's arms. "Oh, you're getting too big for this, boy." Puts him down and starts scritching him on the back of the neck, and he's like jumping up. No jumping. Come on, with me. And as he gives him this command, suddenly he turns to attention and starts trotting along beside him. He looks back to you, who've been a little bit further back and a little bit more apprehensive, and he says, "This is my blink dog, Harvey." Does Harvey react to our Displacer Beast cloak? That's a very good point, actually. He says, "This is my dog, and Harvey, this is the archer." And he turns to point at you, and the dog turns to look at you, and then goes into like this immediate kind of growling defensive stance. And he puts his hand down to stop the dog from doing anything. And then he looks over to you and sees this sort of shifting quality of your Displacer cloak, and he says, "He is not a Displacer Beast. Harvey, down." And he stops the growling immediately and looks back up at his owner. Looks back across at you and points and says, "No. No." And the dog kind of like puts his head down in like a singular nod. "With me." He turns and scritches him and immediately starts trotting along beside you as well. We killed this Displacer Beast, if that helps." The dog's ears seem to perk up and turn round towards you as you say that. "Would it help him if I let him smell that I'm not a Displacer Beast?" "It certainly wouldn't hurt." You get a little closer, and the dog's ears go up, and you see the corners of his mouth snarl back again, but he doesn't growl. You put out the back of your hand, knowing full well how to handle animals. You are an animal handling ranger. You are proficient in animal handling, so wisdom plus animal handling is going to be at your level a +6. You don't get forest bonus for any particular reason, so let's try +6 animal handling. That's a 6 on the dice. +6 is 12. 12 is above average. Makes sense because you're not familiar with fey animals and the differences in them. It's above average though, and so as you put your hand out, you allow him to get your scent, and he says, "Okay," and goes forwards. Smells at you and looks up at you. Looks back at Dale. And Dale says, "Gently." And as it says gently, he turns back and licks the back of your hand. And then turns around and walks back over to Dale with me. And the 4 of you, him and his pet, and you and Empress, you continue walking for a little while longer. You walk down past the tree line, and it's not long before you get to the sound of running water, and you arrive at the side of a relatively large river. And you walk for about an hour or so more until you get to an even larger river. As this one passes into another half hour after that, you get to another larger river, and then you can start to see the ocean on this horizon as well. Within one final half hour, you are down at the ocean shore. You've been walking for about 2.5 hours or so. Casually wipe a hand on her leg here. Apis, you find yourself at the ocean, and boy is it weird, because it is reflecting the colours of the sky of this morning hanging sun. The sun is, let me think, the direction you're going. The sun is behind you. Yeah, the sun is behind you, and so the sky in front of you is a darker shade of like a greenish blue. And it's reflecting that in the water. The water seems to be an enchanting level of like an emerald green, and it is clear. This, I think, is the first time Apis has been to the ocean. Maybe this might be the first time Apis has been to the ocean. Shafgushel isn't near the ocean. Shadrich isn't anywhere near an ocean. The Great Expanse isn't anywhere near, the top of the Great Expanse is, but your area of the Great Expanse, the Lannis Woods. I don't think Apis has been to the ocean before. So Apis probably wouldn't know that this isn't the normal colour of water at the ocean. You can see that the waves are cresting towards you, and you recognise them from the smoke. The smoke shapes that Dale was breathing yesterday. The beach is a sandy coral kind of beach. It's like sharp sand. And as you walk, as you walk down onto the beach, you can hear the sounds and the smells of being at the ocean. You can hear the sounds of ocean birds cawing and flying through the sky. And Dale gets right down to the water's edge and then points. And he points across the water. And you can see across the way that there is a large island just on the horizon. A huge thing. Takes up most of the horizon. He says, over there, that is the island on which Ordval lives. I will not be traversing this ocean with you, but I can get you passage across there. And once you pass this, once you arrive on the other side, you must head inland. There is a short swamp, followed by a mountain range. You head up the mountains You pass through and you get to a valley in a forest. Head down through the forest valley, follow the water. You are looking for the Dren tree. Once you find the Dren tree, you have found the Lord of Avalon. If you get lost, there are anyone over there will know where he lives. Getting them to tell you may be a different ordeal. You must be careful who you ask for help from, as well you know. But Ordval lives in a valley on the other side of those mountains. Hopefully writing down the directions. Apis remembers the directions, I'm going to say. Apis has been using Lumosity, been brain training. Apis has got a 16 intelligence, so a 17 intelligence, I think, actually, from memory. So Apis is a smart cookie and remembers the relatively straightforward instructions. Once you get to the other coast, head inland, through the swamp, to the mountains. Through the mountains, you find a valley. Look for the Dren tree. 2 N's in Dren. Dren tree. What is this brainfish fish that everybody's talking about? He says, well, that's how you'll get over there. There is a creature that lives in these waters. It will offer you passage to the other side in return for entertainment. And am I going to have to play my pipes for it, or no, not that sort of entertainment. It is called a brainfish for a reason. It requires mental manipulation. In order to attract it to us, we need to first get its attention. Tell me, do you play cards? Do you play dice? Do you play chess? Do you mean like a riddle? Yes, exactly like a riddle. You give riddles to this fish, and wherever you are entertaining to it, it will give you what you need in return. But we first have to attract it. So let's play something. Something that manipulates the brains. It feeds on brainwaves, and the two of us engaging in some sort of strategy, some sort of tactics. It will bring it to shore. So what do you want to play? Liar's dice with those bone dice? Ooh, risky. What do you call a fish with no eyes? A blind fish. A blind fish? A fish. I don't. No eyes. Oh, wow! That is that was clever. Yes, very good. Should play 20 questions. What is brown and sticky? Rock paper scissors. Rock paper scissors is not a brain game. All right, come on, guys. Head in the game. I've just asked you to play a game. You're not asking this guy a riddle. You're playing a game with this guy. What do you want to play? We offhanded said that Apis, Edith, and what's her name played cards to pass the time once. Yep. You guys need to play a game with this guy. Something like chess or cards or something. I Spy. I Spy could be a brain game, I guess. 20 questions. Poker. Cards. Solitaire. Chess. Cards. Alright, let's put this to a poll. I'm interested to know what you guys are going to come up with. What game to play with Dale? With Dale. Cards. Chess. Dice. Word games. I'm going to say word games. That's like 20 questions or I Spy or something. Or other. I'm not sure if there's other options, but I'll put other in case. We'll go with just 1 minute to decide. What are we going to play? What game are we going to play with Dale to try and use enough brain power to attract this fish in the first place? Got to attract a fish to the shore. Your time starts now on the poll there. We've got cards, chess, dice, word games, or other. Interestingly, Apis doesn't have cards, chess, or dice other than the bone dice. So you could play word games, or you could hope that Dale has some of these things, but he doesn't seem to be carrying a bag of anything. But he has suggested cards or chess. So you assume that maybe he knows something you don't. Or maybe he's expecting that you have cards or chess. Ooh, almost a majority, but not quite. So in terms of the preferential voting, there were more people that voted against word games than voted for it, which means I'm going to drop off all of the options except for the top two. We've got word games and chess. Word games and chess. We're going to go again on the poll. Word games and chess are the only two options now. Do you have a chessboard? I do. He takes his hand and twists it in space, and it looks like he, from the tension in his wrist and the tendons that are engaging, it looks like he's twisting a handle, like a tightened handle of something, but he's just seemed to grab space in front of him. And as he twists, there's this kind of like clicking noise as these runes, almost tattooed into his skin, seem to glow almost. And it's not like a tattoo, it's like veins in his hand formed runes for a second. Just slightly different shades of the same color of his skin, and as soon as they were there, they were gone. And as he does this, he kind of pulls forwards, and it's like this space in front of him opens up, like he's opening up a door. And he reaches in to this sort of vacuous hole in front of him, and he pulls out a chessboard. It says, "I have one if we wish to play." And then he places it back in and then kind of wipes his hand over the hole that's now there, and it sort of reforms itself into the image of what should have been behind it. 64% of Apis' mind decides, in fact, to play word games, though. And you say, well, I think let's maybe start with some word games first. What do you want to play? You've got 20 questions. Tell you what, he suggests it. He says, "Very well, I'd like a word game. I would think of a creature. You have 20 questions to ask me that I can only answer yes or no to. At the end of that, you must guess which creature I'm thinking of. And then I'm going to think of a creature. All right. Is it bigger than your dog? Yes. Does it live on this plane of existence? Yes. Does it stand on 4 legs? No. Can it teleport in a puff? No. Is it from the inner planes? Yes. Can it fly? No. Does it eat meat? No. Does it have legs? Yes. Does it sing? No. Does it have wings? No. Can it talk? I do not know. That question does not count. Does it have horns? Yes. Is it intelligent? Yes. Does it control plants? No. Is it draconic in origin? No. Does it have more than 2 eyes? I've seen ones that do, but not all of them. Is it dangerous? Yes. Just without this being a question, would I know what this is? He just shrugs his shoulders. Is it warm-blooded? Yes. Is it furry? Yes. Is it cute? No. Last question. Does it live on land? Yes. That's your 20 questions. Now you must guess what it is. And if you get it wrong, I win. History check to see if we remember anything from our mother's box and stories that fits the description. Alright, good question. Good question. Good idea, actually. It was not draconic, it was furry. It was not cute. They can have more than 2 eyes. They do not walk on 4 legs, but they do have legs. They don't have wings. They are bigger than a blink dog, and they do not teleport. It is dangerous. It has fur and horns. Bigger than a dog, doesn't fly, has horns, 2 legs, 2 or more eyes, doesn't eat meat. This guy has seen more than one of them, but not spoken to them. They are intelligent. They are furry. Alright, I'm going to use that information to set a DC on Apus's history check, and then I'm going to roll a history. Nat 20! Nat 20. Alright, Nat 20 plus 3. You are thinking back on all the information that you've had given to you. Furry creature, dangerous, doesn't walk on 4 legs, does have legs. You never ascertained whether that was like 3, 2, 1, whatever. You said legs plural, so it's 2 legs, 3 legs, 5 legs, 6 legs or more. As you start to think of that and think, it could be 3 legs, it could be 5 legs, it could be a different amount of legs. It doesn't have to be like bestial creature. He said he was thinking of a creature but not a beast. You start to think of trickier things. You start to think, oh wait, let's play the person, not the game. Who is the person coming up with the creature? It's a fey creature. You've seen him smirking, you've seen his enjoyment of trickery. You put yourself in the mind of thinking like a fey creature in coming up with the creature that he would ask, that he would think of. You realize at this point, he never said that he was going to think of a real creature. And instantly coming to mind is a creature that you have seen another fey creature use against you. An imaginary creature that fey creature used as an illusion to freak the fuck out of you. A 4-armed giant ape with horns and red glowing eyes. A giant gorilla thing that tore through the forest after you. And she called it, with a nat 20, you remember she called it a gronkle. And you say, is it a gronkle? And his eyes go wide, he is astonished. How did you... Have you seen a gronkle? And you say, I have. When? There was, I had a bad experience. And that'll be my secret. You give a little wink. You're not the first Fae that I've played with. Wow. Well, that was... Merde. I did not expect you to get that. You are something, Archer. he looks across to the water, and you look back to the water as well. Perception check. Smarting a Fey, this was satisfying. What's that, a 6? 6 plus your perception modifier of 6, I believe. Yes. You got what level are you? You got a +3, so 5 plus 5. With a +5, plus to your 6 is an 11 total. You look out over the water. You don't see any large fish yet. Cue Jaws music. And as you look back from the water, he says, "Well then, I suppose it's your turn, isn't it? And what we're going to do now is I'm going to open up Nightbot, and anyone who wishes to be in with a chance to choose the next 20 questions thing. It doesn't have to be a creature, I suppose. You can have Apis think of a thing, a creature, a spell, a place, something that you could use in a 20 questions game. If you want to be in with a chance to decide who is going to do that, then type !question into the chat right now. !question. And you are going to play 20 questions, and he's going to play along. And the fun thing about this is the rest of Apis's mind can also play along. Don't give the answer in chat. The rest of Apis's mind can play along as well, and not knowing what question the synapse in charge is thinking of. Play along at home. 3, 2, 1. Roll it. Redial. All right, redial. What I want you to do is think of a thing. Try not to make it unreasonably hard. Don't be like, I'm thinking of Apis's Uncle Grant. Like, come up with a thing that actually exists and we might have a chance of getting. The Gronkle, for instance, was very tricky, but it was a thing that Apis had seen, so that I chose. I gave you a fighting chance of actually having seen it and guessed what it is. So, Redial, once you've got something, let me know that you're thinking of a thing, and we can start asking questions. I will be the only ones that are actually official questions for Dale, on behalf of Dale. But you've got it. Excellent. He says, I told you the category. I told you that mine was a creature. What category does yours fall under? Has Dale been to the material plane? Have you been to the material plane? I have. Only once. Many moons ago. Mine is also a creature. Very well. I need to decide how smart Dale is, so that I can ask questions like him and not like me. I think I've got it. He says, is this creature draconic? No. Is this creature furry? Does it have fur? Yes. Does this creature have 4 or more legs? No. It does not have 4 or more legs. It is furry. It is not draconic. It has fewer than 4 legs, maybe even 0. Does this creature have wings? No. Does this creature have 2 or fewer legs? Yes. If you encountered this creature in its favored habitat, would you feel like you were in danger? Yes. Dangerous creature, 2 or fewer legs, furry. Is this creature bigger than this? And he waves his hand, and out of his hand pours off of the back of his hand like these leaves. It's like autumn leaves from a tree. It seems to just appear on the back of his hand and fall off them immediately, like shedding from the back of his hand. All of these autumn leaves tumble again in this wind that seems to be created by him as he lifts his hand, and they pour out of him, swirling around and sort of coalescing until he's creating this illusion of this large ogre, which for your sake is about 10 to 12 feet tall and really stocky. You know what an ogre looks like. It makes an ogre. Let's put a distinct thing on it and say it's 11 feet tall and quite large. He says, "Is it larger than this?" And he shows you an image of an ogre. This is his 7th. Is it a Grunkle? Did we Uno reverse Daryl? That would be Dale. That would be pretty funny. Probably not, but not impossible. Is this creature capable of speech? Yes. Have you encountered a member of one of these creatures? Yes. And you survived it. Well done. Do these creatures often... are these creatures often encountered alone? I believe that's 10 questions now. Bipedal, furry, capable of speech. Apis would consider them dangerous. Probably not larger than an ogre, but not impossible. That really depends. So, free question probably. Very well. Takes that question back. Depends whether encountered alone. 2 or fewer. True. Would this creature's primary form of attack or defense be natural to it? By which I mean teeth, horns, claws, natural defenses, engagements of its eyes. Basically, it does not use external weapons. Does it use natural weapons? That's its 10th question. Could be human. Could be human. Could be any form of humanoid. Yes and no. So it uses artificial weapons as well, but it has natural defenses. Could any member of this creature, once adult, be of a size smaller than yourself? This is its 11th question. Yes. So an adult member of this species could be smaller than Apis, and it's not likely but not impossible for it to be larger than an ogre as well. Apis has encountered at least one of these creatures. They are furry. They have at most 2 legs. They have natural weapons and they use artificial weapons. Whether or not they are encountered alone is usually up for debate. Would you consider one of these creatures to be civilized? Depends. Depends. Would you consider one of these creatures... I will rephrase the question. Would you consider these creatures as a whole, as a collective, as a species? Would you consider them to be civilized? This is his 12th question. Also depends, yes and no. Fascinating. I will take that as a question, for it gives me information. Is this creature native to your plane of existence? It's maybe a question that you don't know, Redial, but if in doubt, use existing lore of D&D if you know it. Probably, yes. Can this creature change its appearance? Either voluntarily or otherwise? Yes. I see. I see. Is this creature capable of changing? Is this creature capable of changing someone else's appearance? Yes. Would a member of one of these creatures be born as one of these creatures? Always. No. Is this creature subject to some sort of animal-like curse? Yes. So I have 3 questions to narrow in which of the were creatures you are thinking of. Fascinating. Is this creature, when transformed, of the canid type? Nature check for Apis real quick. 15. 15 plus your 3 nature. You would know that the canids include the canines, the dog-like creatures, including wolves. They also include foxes. They also include bears. Bears are actually canids as well. Canines. I didn't say canine. I said canid. And with an 18 intelligence, Apis would know that canid is the category above canine and includes wolves, vulpixes, bears, and a bunch of other stuff like that. You say yes. 2 questions remain. You're thinking of a werewolf, a werefox, a werebear. You said that they could be large, very large, which makes me think of werebear. Are you thinking of a werebear? No. This is fun. Oh, and I'm not the only one to think so. And you look at his gaze and you look past yourself and you see that there is a huge mass in the water, a large darkened mass that is coming closer and closer and is sort of just keeping itself swaying in the waves just below the water. Last question then. I have to go for the most common one. Are you thinking of a werewolf? No. Ah! Okay. I suppose that is my 20 questions. But now they're over. I have to suggest my guess, my final guess. Are you thinking of a werefox? Correct. There is a bursting of water behind you, and you flick around to see an enormous marine-like creature, very fish-like, burst from the water. You've seen a similar thing before in a much less detailed form last night when he was breathing his smoke into the world. You saw this immersion of this image of this brainfish. Very good job to Redial on the 20 questions there. Genuinely took me all 20 questions to get the answer. So congratulations, well done. Very good choice indeed. And it seems you and Dale are evenly matched, taking all 20 questions and getting it right on the last one. You see this fish, if you want to call it that. It looks more like a whale, just for your guys' perspective. It looks very much like and I'm pretty sure it's beluga whale, isn't it? Let me just double check that I'm not throwing you wrong with the wrong thing. A beluga whale. Yes, the beluga's big bulbous head on the front of it. A beluga. Big front of the forehead. Think like a maybe it's belugas do have a big head, but I feel like there's another an even bigger headed whale. Big head whale. It just keeps coming up with beluga. I thought they had bigger heads than that. Kind of like a bigger head, a beluga, but with an even bigger head. You see this large fish-like, whale-like creature, cetacean, come out of the water. It's got this large head, kind of like a beluga whale, but even more bulbous. Even more, the forehead is really prominent, and you can see its eyes kind of sunken in and underneath the this bulbous head. You can also see this large tooth-filled mouth without lips, just kind of around the front. And the head itself is this pale kind of deep sea looking skin, which harnesses this huge brain underneath it, and you can see kind of pulsing. It's not like perfect translucent glass, but it has this this opacity of like 60% or so, and you can see that this huge this pulsing kind of brain underneath it. It's not exactly a pleasant look, but it is very clear why you would call this a brainfish. You can only see the front half of it, and you can see that emerging from around halfway up this brain, almost from its brain itself, piercing through this skin, is this large protuberance. The protuberance looks like a long, thin spine of sorts, but on the end it has this like dangling fur, or like a sopping wet kind of like a clump of seaweed, like really thin seaweed perhaps. And as it bursts from the water, it gives a little flick, and like a beautiful woman flicking her hair back in a shampoo commercial. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw as you see this. Sorry, not wisdom, intelligence saving throw. That is a 2, if you can see that there. A 2. Also, I'm giving you inspiration for the amazing job with your game there, Redal. You definitely gained Apis inspiration with such a good choice of character. So you see this beautiful hair flick back. You got a 2 on your intelligence saving throw. You have inspiration if you want to re-roll it. Save versus advertising. What do we think? Yes or no? Are we going to use the... sounds cute. We can fail the save. I'm sure it's fine. Inspiration, save it. Not using it. No. Alright, we're not using it. So we fail the save, and you see this image of this fish burst out, only temporarily, and then there's this other haze kind of comes over your mind, and as it flicks back the wet mop of hair on the end of this stalk, you see it as a beautiful woman. I don't know if we have officially talked about Apis's sexuality. I know Apis had a romantic date with Sam, and Sam identified as female, so I imagine that Apis is at least bisexual, pansexual, or heterosexual, one of those maybe. I think you see it as a woman. I don't know if Apis is into humans, fey creatures, dwarves, but at the very least, they had a nice romantic time with Sam. So let's say that you see it as a beautiful person that you are physically attracted to. Yes, you can decide for yourself, as you are Apis and you're all Apis's mind. You can decide that Apis, whatever Apis would be attracted to, you see it as a beautiful siren-like version of that. The hair goes back, and it is beautiful and wet, and suddenly the rest of the fish kind of disappears, and you see this siren-like creature sitting on a rock, essentially like an outcrop of rock on the side of the water. And she says, in a beautiful voice, "Hi there, handsome. What do you say? A siren with a Scouse accent. If we see it as a beautiful forest, can we get forest bonus? Do you want to play 20 questions? I'd like to play games for sure. Why don't you answer me a question first? Tell me, if I'm tall when I'm young and I'm short when I'm old, what am I? Apis, you think for a while. A candle. She smiles. She seems to come closer to you. She's still on the rock somehow, but the rock has moved itself closer to you. She's still in the water, though. What can you hold in your left hand that you can't hold in your right? Your right hand. She smiles again. She seems to stand up from the rock and start to walk towards you, and the rock seems to like roll itself out towards you, closer and closer. Now the rock itself seems to have pushed up onto the shore, and there's now a possibility of walking from one to the other, but she doesn't do so. She just stops about 10 feet from you. What is it that you can keep only by giving it to somebody else? A promise. She smiles and whips her hair again, and she walks all the way forwards now. And then something grabs you. You don't see what. It doesn't seem to be around you. You've completely forgotten about Mel, Dale, and Harvey at this point. But you just feel this hand kind of grab you and pull you to the side, and nothing's there, nothing's looking. And then you feel this sharp slap right across your face. Enough to do a point of damage. As you take a point of damage from this sharp slap, you are pulled out of this charm. As the water, the sound of the waves rushes louder and louder in your ears now. You suddenly see what has grabbed you. You see Dale has pulled you up close and is looking in your eyes and says, with a crack of thunder, Jesus Christ. Is that too loud? Is that gonna drown me out? I can close the windows. How dramatic. Pulls you close, looks at you and says, you need to resist. There are much more dangerous things than this here, and you almost succumb to this immediately. And you turn back and you see, holy shit, it is right fucking there. The fish with its huge brain, its huge bulbous sort of forehead that sticks out above its face, is like above you. And the face itself is like its huge eyes. Its eyes are about this big each. And its huge eyes are like right here. And its teeth and its mouth is right here, huge and big. And right across in front of you, this large mouth opened. And it's like pushed its chin right up onto the shore. And it was getting real close to you. And you sort of take a startled step back, but Dale's still got you by the scruff, and you look back and you at him, and he says, "You are fine now. It cannot digest you if you are not charmed by it. This is an interesting trickery of its digestive system. The brainfish will give you passage wherever you entertain it, but unfortunately, to get across, it needs to eat you." What do you guys do? You've got to be joking. No. Whenever you are not charmed by it, and you have about an hour before it can charm you again. Whenever you are not charmed by it, it cannot digest you. But it will still think it can. So it eats you. And then you entertain it. You give it riddles. You let it think that it's got you. but in a sort of counter way. Wherever you are riddling it, it follows your directions. It follows your interest. How long will it take to go across there? About half an hour or so. What are we waiting for? I'm going on an adventure. How exactly do we get back out again? Once you get to the other side, you tell it to open its mouth. As I say, wherever you are riddling it, wherever you are beating it in a game of wits, it will follow your commands. They get seduced by intellect and wit. Clap him on the shoulder, nod in appreciation. Tell Empress to fly over. Empress! What is it, Apis? This is a very big fish. It is, yes. How many can it charm at once? Just the one. It currently thinks it has you charmed. As it's like biting that. And you're just kind of like skirting up the beach a little bit. It's still going for you. Call me Archer, Empress. Sorry, Archer. It's always a bigger fish. Don't want Mel inside it, she'll fail as fuck. Tell Mel to just fly over. Are you sure you don't want to come with us? I'm very sure. The Lord of Avalon is fine wherever he is, in a different place. I have great respect for him, but I do not desire to be on his island. The place could really benefit from a public transport system. This is outrageous. That bee's a goddamn liability. Let's get in this fish. Can only charm us one at a time. We can keep an eye on each other and keep each other out of trouble. I'm glad to have met you. You nod and you get in the mouth. Alright, thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you getting in the mouth? Yes or no? I do hope our paths cross again. Dale, as short as this lasted, I enjoyed meeting you and our time together. I enjoyed your company greatly, Apis. Alright, overwhelming yes. Mel? Are we telling Mel to fly across the water and just meet us on the other side? Or are we going to tell Mel to get in with us? What are we thinking? Yes or no? Fly across the water, thumbs up, like up and out of the water. Down below the surface, thumbs down. Like, is she coming in with us? Down. Thumbs up if you want to ask Mel to fly across. Thumbs down if you want to tell Mel to get in the fish with us. Alright, yes. Up above. See, Mel, you're going to fly across to that island over here. I'm going to get into this fish. Sorry, what? Sorry, Empress. Empress, you're going to fly across the water. I'm going to get into the fish. What do you mean, Archer? I mean what I say. I'm going to get in the fish. The fish is going to take me across the water. I'm going to see you on the other side. You're going to go over there. Okay. And she buzzes up and out, and she starts flying across the water. It's a short enough distance that Mel will be able to make it. She's got 100 foot per round with a dash, so she can fly that distance relatively easily. And then you turn back towards the brainfish, and you time it right, like a skipping rope, and you crump, and you're in, and you jump in, and your landing is like softened by this big fleshy tongue on the inside of the mouth. And just as the mouth closes, once it feels you're on there and the mouth closes, you hear Dale say, "And don't open the box." And then you feel this huge wave of the tongue throwing you back to the back of its mouth, and then in a single very unpleasant, tight, wet orifice, you are pushed through the gullet of this fish and swallowed down into its digestive systems. You don't feel acid. You feel instead a headache. This headache is getting stronger and pulling and pushing at your brain. It doesn't seem like it chewed you. It seems like you are small enough, especially as a dwarf, to have been swallowed in a single bite, so it didn't bother with that. You are covered in this sort of slime, all of your belongings and things, but you are now in this pocket, pushed in and pressed in by these this fleshy wall on all sides, and you are just sitting there as your brain is being manipulated and they're trying to digest your brain waves. And that is where we're going to leave it for today. I thank you for joining us, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Whoa, look at the names of all these cool people supporting me. If you want to see your name here, check out my Patreon. There's a lot of cool perks on there for you. You'll enjoy it.